Rupam Sagarajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vam cha kalpatarubhyascha Krupa sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Prabhuji's Mataji's welcome to discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam today as part of the Bhakti Vaibhav session. So background to today's discussion, we see Maharaj Parikshit, after having gotten his earlier set of questions related to what is the uh, topmost activity for people in general, for the welfare of people in general, especially for the person who is about to die, and what are the topics one should hear about, chant, remember, and discuss, and what are the topics that one should not hear about, chant, hear, and discuss. Having these questions clarified and answered from Shukadev Goswami, now Parikshit Maharaj has come up with the follow-up set of questions asking Shukadev Goswami to discuss about Hari Kathor Darkaha, discuss about those topics which would ultimately result in discussion on Krishna Katha, and especially starting with the process of creation, the part of Sarga and Visarga, the primary and secondary creation, how they are affected by the Lord in this cosmic manifestation. Parikshit Maharaj is very eager to know. And in reply to this particular inquiries by Parikshit Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami is quoting Brahma Narada Samvad. He is quoting the conversation that happened between Lord Brahma and Narad Muni, and the different questions that were posed by Narad Muni to Lord Brahma. Total 6 questions were posed, including what are the characteristics of this universe, what is its shelter, how is it created, how it is maintained, what does it depend upon, and what is it composed of, the ingredients. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in this regard, both in Srimad Bhagavatam purport as well as this particular section of Bhagavad Gita purport that we have taken, where that any such inquiry, when it is faced by us, then we should always be referring to the discussions of the predecessor authorities of the scriptures, and then we should be able to quote these references from the scriptures from such authorities in order to drive a specific point. In fact, if all of you remember from Bhakti Shastri course, one of the very important characteristic of a Madhyama Adhikari is related to this. And can anyone answer? What is that specific characteristic of a Madhyama Adhikari in regard to this particular point, quoting the scriptures? Anyone? Or in general, what is the difference between a Uttama Adhikari versus a Madhyama Adhikari versus a Kanishta Adhikari, a neophyte devotee and topmost devotee and devotee in between? Anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
One by one. Shri Hari Priya Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji, the highest level of the Mahabhagavata or the devotee who is situated in the transcendental position, he's Samdarshina. He sees Lord in everywhere and every person. So he cannot discriminate. But the Madhyam Adhikari does Prema, Maitri, Krapa and Upeksha depending upon who is Lord's devotees and who are inquisitive and who are to be. He does Upeksha of those who are Agyani or who are non-devotees. So that is the kind of behavior he does. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, correct. That is one point. And also, such Madhyama Adhikari devotee is able to support whatever he is seeing with scriptural reference. This is also one of the characteristics. All of you remember? Yes, Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So, Srila Prabhupada mentions that even as a practicing devotee, we should not that we try and become a scholar, because ultimately we would only be able to understand Krishna, whatever Krishna has gifted us with the faculties, but we should try to deploy those faculties to the best of our level to understand Krishna. So let's start with this particular purport of Srila Prabhupada, and whoever would like to read through, please keep your hands raised. We will request devotees one by one. Hare Krishna. So we'll start with Sangeeta Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
One should not speak in such a way as to agitate the minds of others. Of course, when a teacher speaks, he can speak the truth for the instruction of his students. But such a teacher should not speak to those who are not his students if he will agitate their minds. This is a penance as far as talking is concerned. Besides that, one should not talk nonsense. The process of speaking in spiritual circle is to say something upheld by the scriptures. One should at once quote from scriptural authority to back up what he is saying. At the same time, such talk should be very pleasure to the ear. By such discussion, one may derive the highest benefit and elevate the human society. There is a limitless stock of Vedic literature, and one should study this. This is called as penance of speech. Bhagavad Gita 17.15. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. And in Srila Prabhupada's own life, in not only his life as a renunciate, but Srila Prabhupada's earlier life as a householder, we see Srila Prabhupada was personally following this, even with his different duties, responsibilities of household life. Srila Prabhupada used to dedicatedly study close to 3 to 4 hours of Srimad Bhagavatam on a daily basis. So point is, in this, while answering this specific set of questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami is giving reference to predecessor authorities, namely Lord Brahma answering the similar questions to Narada Muni. So with this as the background, let's start with the verses today. So we have text 16 onwards. So let's try to recite the text. Please try to repeat. Narayana paro yogo.
Narayana paro yogo.
Narayana param tapaha.
Narayana param tapaha.
Narayana param jnanam.
Narayana param jnanam.
Narayana paragatihi.
Narayana paragatihi.
Hare Krishna, Madhumahi Krishna Kanta Mataji. So let me
Hare
just,
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
We'll just go through the highlighted part of the purport, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Translation.
Srila Prabhupada.
You can start with
I have to
translation.
read translation, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All different types of meditation or mysticism are means for realizing Narayana. All austerities are aimed at achieving Narayana. culture of transcendental knowledge is for getting a glimpse of Narayana, and ultimately salvation is entering the kingdom of Narayana. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In meditation, there are two systems of yoga, namely Ashtanga Yoga and Sankhya Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga is practice in concentrating the mind, releasing oneself from all engagements by the regulative process of meditation. Please scroll, Prabhuji. Concentration, sitting postures, blocking the movements of the internal circulation of air, etc. Sankhya Yoga is meant to distinguish the truth from ephemerals, but ultimately both systems are meant for realizing the impersonal Brahman, which is but a partial representation of Narayana, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, the conclusion is that Narayana, or the personality of Godhead, is the ultimate destination for all kinds of yoga systems as well as all kinds of liberation. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So here, Lord Brahmaji is beginning to answer questions 1, 2, and 5. So more or less, the questions may be different, but the conclusion of Lord Brahma is that the answers to these questions is same, which is Lord Narayan, that the characteristics of the universe, or what is its background, or what is it composed of. So Lord Brahma's one word reply to these questions is Lord Narayan is the cause, and ultimately from him the material and the efficient causes behind the creation of this cosmic manifestation are emanating. And specifically, Lord Brahma wants to clarify the misconception of Narada Muni that Narada Muni had earlier, which was that is it Lord Brahma that Lord Brahma is completely independent in creating this cosmic manifestation? And Narad Muni specifically gives the example of a spider. Just like a spider, that it is able to create its web, maintain it, it creates its web using the saliva and maintains that web. And whenever the spider wants, it can then wind up the entire thing and then move to a different place. So Narad Muni had this misconception, if Lord Brahma is also similarly independent without any external help, is he the one who is creating the cosmic manifestation? But Brahmaji is clarifying out of his humility and honesty that it is Lord Narayan who is actually behind the entire creation in terms of both its material as well as its efficient cause. And Lord Brahma is also, Srila Prabhupada is also explaining how the different systems of transcendental realization, including the path of Ashtanga Yoga Marga or the Sankhya Yoga Marga, all these systems are ultimately meant for realizing the Narayan, but at different stages of understanding. Say, for example, the Ashtanga Yoga system of understanding, it realizes Lord Narayan through all these 8 different angas of Ashtanga, including Yama, Niyama, Pranayam, so on and so forth, and up till Samadhi. So all these 8 different limbs of Ashtanga Yoga practice are ultimately meant to realize Lord Narayan at the impersonal, that means at a very, very preliminary level. And same for Sankhya Yoga, which is meant to distinguish what is spirit and what is matter, what is truth and what is ephemerals. Ephemerals means what are the details, surrounding details. So this Sankhya system of understanding the Supreme Lord is also ultimately meant for understanding Lord Narayan, again at a very, very preliminary level. So that is Lord Brahma's conclusion. And in the next verse, Lord Brahma will further elaborate how it is with the inspiration and support coming from Lord Narayan only that he is able to perform the role as a secondary creator, as a Visarga, secondary creation. So we'll recite this text. So some of these details might seem bit technical, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, but each and every section of Srimad Bhagavatam is equally purifying. So as Brahma himself will conclude at the end of this discussion, at the end of chapter 6, that means next chapter of Bhagavatam Canto 2, that my dear boy Narada, whatever you inquired, I have answered you very patiently, though these details are a bit technical. Lord Brahma also acknowledges. So that's why, since they deal with Lord's potencies of creation, they need to be understood. But beyond that, Brahmaji also discusses with Narad Muni in terms of Lord's Leela Avtaras. So this is the description of Lord's Purush Avtaras. How does this cosmic manifestation is created with the help and support of Lord Vishnu? But there would also be discussion in terms of Lord's pastimes, which is the discussion on Guna Avtaras. Sorry, Leela Avtaras. So it is not that one part of discussion about the Supreme Lord we take interest, and other part of discussion just because it seems bit technical to our intelligence, we try to minimize its importance. Both are equally purifying. Okay. So still feel free, if anything is not clear, we'll try to clarify to the best of our ability. We move to text 17. Tasyapi drashtur ishasya
तस्यापि
तस्यापि
द्रष्टुर्ईशस्य
कूटस्थस्याखिलात्मनः
कूटस्थस्याखिलात्मनः
सृजामि सृष्टोऽहम्
सृज्यं
इक्षायैवाभिचोदितः
ईक्षायैवाभिचोदितः
So there are two important lines in this verse, line number 3 and line number 4. Srujami srushtoham. So here Lord Brahma is saying that I create based on that which is already created. So definitely I am not the primary or independent creator. It is Supreme Lord who has created the ingredients and details of which we will see shortly. But he is the one who has preliminarily, originally created the cosmic manifestation. And I, as the first created living being, is creating on top of what Lord Vishnu has already created. So I am the secondary creator. This is admission of Lord Brahma. Fourth line says, Ikshayai Vabhi Choditaha. Even the secondary creation we see in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, after Lord Brahma is created from the navel of, from the lotus flower that emanates from the navel of Lord Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Lord Brahma is in total bewilderment, not knowing what to do, what is meant to do, and seeing darkness all around in the waters of Garbhodaksha ocean. Then Lord Brahma prays to the Supreme Lord in the form of his Virata Rupa in order to get enlightenment, what he should do, what is the purpose of his life, and what he's supposed to do to get knowledge and enlightenment on his purpose of life. So here also Lord Brahma is saying, Ikshayai Vabi Choditaha. That means even the secondary creation, Lord Brahma is able to perform only based on what has already been created by the Supreme Lord, not otherwise. Vamshi Mohan Prabhu, Hare Krishna. You want to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Inspired by?
Translation. Inspired by him only, I discover what is already created by him, Narayana, under his vision as the all-pervading super soul, and I am created by him only.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Highlighted part?
Even Brahma, the creator of the universe, admits that he is not the actual creator, but is simply inspired by Lord Narayana and therefore creates under his superintendence those things already created by him, the super soul of all living entities, two identities of the soul, the super soul and the individual.
Prabhuji, when you are reading, please take pause wherever there is full stop and wherever there is comma so people can understand. Yes.
Okay. Two identities of the soul, the super soul and the individual soul, are admitted to be in the living entity, even by the greatest authority of the universe. The super soul is the Supreme Lord, the personality of the Godhead, whereas the individual soul is the eternal servitor of the Lord. The Lord inspires the individual soul to create what is already created by the Lord, and by the goodwill of the Lord, a discoverer of something in the world is accredited as the discoverer. It is said that Columbus discovered the Western Hemisphere, but actually the tract of land was not created by the Columbus. The vast tract of land was already there by the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord, and Columbus, by the dint of his past service unto the Lord, was blessed with the credit of discovering America. Similarly, no one can create anything without the sanction of the Lord, since everyone sees according to his ability. This ability is also awarded by the Lord according to one's willingness to render service unto the Lord. One must therefore be voluntarily willing to render service unto the Lord, and thus the Lord will empower the doer in the proportion to his surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Brahma is a great devotee of the Lord. Therefore, he has been empowered or inspired by the Lord to create such a universe as the one manifested before us.
Okay, I will just continue. The battle of Kurukshetra or any other battle at any place or at any time is made by the will of the Lord. For no one can arrange such mass annihilation without the sanction of the Lord. So here, Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining that how to the degree that one surrenders to the will of the Lord, Lord will empower such a personality to perform great tasks. And because Krishna wants to give credit to his surrendered devotees. So example is given like that of Arjuna. So on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when Arjuna mentioned so many reasons and reservations why he should not fight, while explaining to him the reason why that battle was necessary for the establishment of dharma, Krishna also clarified to Arjun that because of the misdemeanor of these Kurus for the towards the great devotee of the Lord, Draupadi, they have already reduced their lifespan because of their offense towards such a great devotee. So it is not that if Arjuna did not participate in the battle, the opposite the people in the opposite side of the army, they would go home safely. It was Lord's will that they would be annihilated for sure as a result of the offense towards the devotee or as a result of following of adharma principles that these Kurus had done. So it was only for Arjuna to surrender and to align himself unto the will of Lord Krishna and take the glory. So here also Srila Prabhupada is explaining that Columbus is credited for discovering the Western Hemisphere, for discovering America, but it is not that that particular tract of land was not present before Columbus came there. It was definitely present, and whatever the living entities and all, though Europeans migrated much later and subsequently were considered the native of that particular place, Columbus gets the credit by the Lord's will. Why? Because Lord wants to give credit to someone who is who has done that task on his behalf, similar to the way that Arjuna was given credit for the victory in the battle of Kurukshetra. Though, for the matter of fact, even without Arjun, Krishna was fully competent to establish dharma. So, point is, Srila Prabhupada mentions one must voluntarily will, one must therefore be voluntarily willing to render service unto the Lord, and thus the Lord will empower the doer in proportion to his surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord. So, if we align ourselves with the interest of the Lord, that is called devotional service. But for Krishna to manifest his will, it is not that our cooperation is paramount or prerequisite. He can manifest his will even without our non-cooperation. But it is us who would benefit if we align ourselves with Krishna's will, or it is us who will be at disadvantage or who will be missing out if we don't align ourselves with Krishna's will. Any question in this regard, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna. Everyone is clear on this particular principle?
Clear, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Can we think of any example, like Arjuna's example is one? Can we think of any example of other devotees who did align with the will of Lord Krishna and subsequently their life was, perfected? Anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandavat, Mataji.
Prabhuji Maharaj Parikshit, he agreed to, he understood that it is by the
Correct.
desire of the Lord that he got cursed. Otherwise, he could have retaliated also, but he is a pure devotee of the Lord. So that is why Prabhuji, as it is mentioned, that the devotees who are the pure devotees, they are like, even though they are cursed, they are very tolerant. Like Tiraskrita Vipralabdha Shabda Shipta Hatapi Nasya Tat Pratikurvanti Madbhakta Prabhavo Tadbhakta Prabhavo Apihi. So that was that they are very forbearing, they're very tolerant, and so they just accept everything, and they consider everything is because it is only by the supreme will of the Lord that it is happening. Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice example. Similarly, there are many such examples, and sometimes Krishna's will may not appear as Krishna coming and instructing us. Many a times Krishna's will appears through the via medium of his pure devotees. So the instructions of the spiritual master, of the spiritual authorities, they also represent Krishna's will. Like one more example we see in Bhagavatam 5th canto of Maharaj Priyavrat, who is the one of the two sons of Swayambhuva Manu, other being Uttanapad. So Bhagavatam describes Maharaj Uttanapad's dynasty, Dhruva Maharaj, and so on and so forth. But there arose a specific situation where, when Priyavrat Maharaj had already performed austerities as a celibate for a very, very long period of time, after that he got a instruction from his spiritual authority, Swayambhuva Manu, to get married and to assist Swayambhuva Manu in the duty of progenation. And Priyavrat Maharaj's spiritual guide, apart from his own father, was Narada Muni, who is a lifelong celibate. And Narada Muni was encouraging Priyavrat Maharaj to continue as celibate. So there was a confusion. One authority is saying get married, another authority is saying remain celibate. And personal inclination for Priyavrat Maharaj was to remain celibate. But then we see both Swayambhuva Manu and Narada Muni are children of Lord Brahma. And then Lord Brahma appeared there and gave his verdict that Priyavrat Maharaj should assist his father, Swayambhuva Manu, in the service of progenation. So he accepted household path of life. And subsequently, we see that Priyavrat Maharaj did get distracted because of the influence of the material energy of the Lord. But because that particular following of the instruction was to align himself with the will of authorities, Lord protected him. It is not that Priyavrat Maharaj fell down from his position. Subsequently, he was reinstated on the topmost platform of devotional service and he went back home, back to Godhead. So point is, aligning ourselves voluntarily with what is the will of the Lord, that is very important, whether we like it or whether we don't like it. Or similarly, we find in the life of Srila Prabhupada, probably nobody would have relished being in Vrindavan as much as Prabhupada, being a pure devotee of the Lord, would have done when he retired and went to Vrindavan after concluding his household life. But despite so many discomforts, Lilamrut mentions that even before going to West, Srila Prabhupada did remember the instruction of his spiritual master and used to write, edit, publish, and distribute Back to Godhead magazines all by himself, going to Delhi and distributing the magazines under the hot sun in Delhi. And sometimes the Lilamrit mentioned that few times he fainted as well under the hot sun, but he didn't give up. So point is not what I like. Important is what is Krishna's will for me, that is coming through his representatives, and alignment with that will, even if it means that that is very much discomfortable situation for me. So our discomfort is secondary. Krishna alignment with Krishna's will is what is first priority. Is this clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna, through the examples that we saw? Any,
Yes,
any
Prabhuji.
question?
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So even in our life, whenever we are at a path in our life or stage where there is not enough clarity what we should do, we should take guidance from the authorities, but we should be ready to align ourselves to surrender to that guidance and not carry our own conceptions. So maybe we would just quickly read the highlighted part. Sorry, who was reading? Devotee? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, myself.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji, please continue. Highlighted part only. Devotees like.
Correct. Devotees like Brahma and Arjuna do not do anything on their own account. But as fully surrendered souls, they always await indications from the Lord. Therefore, they attempt to do something which appears very wonderful to the ordinary vision. One of the Lord's names is Urukrama, or one whose actions are very wonderful and are beyond the imagination of living being. So, the actions of his devotees sometimes appear very wonderful due to the direction of the Lord.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. And one more example comes to mind is that of one of Srila Prabhupada's disciple, Jagadish Prabhu. When International Society for Krishna Consciousness, the movement was growing and expanding, there were few areas of the world. Of course, devotees were very happy to stay where Srila Prabhupada used to come often and get his association and be in the association of other near and dear Vaishnavas. But there was a need of the hour for Srila Prabhupada to take few risks if needed for the expansion of the institution of the movement. So Srila Prabhupada needed somebody to go to Japan and on his behalf and establish center there. And there was hardly anyone ready because we all know the culture is different and devotees were worried whether they would get proper facilities to practice their Krishna consciousness, follow the four regulatory principles, including having vegetarian food, prasadam, etc. And devotees were very anxious. Nobody was raising his or her hand. And then Srila Prabhupada gave one blessing. He said that anyone who would go to Japan to start and establish a center there, it is my promise that I would personally come to take that devotee back home, back to Godhead. And then immediately one of Srila Prabhupada's disciple, Jagadish Prabhu, he raised his hand to align himself with the will of his spiritual master, and which, as we discussed, is nothing but the will of the Supreme Lord. So this is just one incident. There are many other noted references where Srila Prabhupada did mention, like say for example, for the temple of Vedic planetarium that is coming up in Mayapur, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that it is the vision, it was the vision of Lord Nityananda, it is the will of great Vaishnava Acharyas in the Gaudiya Vaishnava line, like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned, whoever will drive this particular project, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur will personally come and take that devotee back home, back to Godhead. So point is, it is not because of those allurements that we align ourselves, but to align with the will of the Supreme Lord, to align with the will of his pure devotee is always a priority for a devotee, even if there are certain risks, even if there are certain dangers, as we saw from the example of Priyavrat Maharaj, that one can get distracted. But because one has sincerely tried to align with the will of the Lord, Krishna will protect. Is this all right, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna. Can we proceed?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare,
Understood.
Hare Krishna. So let's proceed. Text 18. Satvam Rajastama iti.
Satam
Tama
Tajati
iti.
Nirgunasya Gunastrayaha.
Nirgunasya
Gunastrayaha.
Gunastrayaha
Titi Sarga Nirodheshu.
Stiti Sarga Nirodeshu
Grahita Mayaya Vibho.
Grahita Mayaya Vibho.
Hare Krishna. Revati Ratnangi Mataji, you can read the translation and the highlighted part of the purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Om Namo
Hare Krishna.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The Supreme Lord is the master of the external energy manifested by the three material modes.
Mataji, you can read through the translation first and then the highlighted part. That means the yellow and the blue. Translation and
Yes.
yellow and blue part of
Yeah.
the purport. Yeah.
Only the yellow part of it. No, the translation, sorry. The Supreme Lord is pure, spiritual form, transcendental to all material qualities, yet for the sake of the creation of the material world and its maintenance and annihilation, he accepts through his external energy the material modes of nature called goodness, passion, and ignorance. Is the jivas, however, are affected by or susceptible to be influenced by such modes of material nature. That is the difference between the Lord and the living entities. And
as the sun,
as the sun is ever increasingly unaffected by a spot of a cloud, so also the unlimited Lord is unaffected by the spot of material energy manifested at times in the unlimited span of the Lord's rays of Brahma Jyoti. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here we see Lord Brahma explaining to Narada Muni that Lord Krishna is as such above and totally beyond the modes of material nature which fall under his Maya Shakti, which fall under his external energy. But still, for the sake of creation, maintenance and annihilation of the cosmic manifestation, he accepts various guna avtaras. Like we know, who is the guna avatar for all these three modes? Lord Brahma for passion, yes. Lord Vishnu for goodness, and Lord Shiva for ignorance. So these are the three guna avtaras, out of which Lord Brahma is a jiva. He is a living entity in general. It is a post. It is generally occupied by the living entity who is the most pious. Typically, it is mentioned the living entity who is able to perform the varnashram duties for 100+ lifetimes consistently to all perfection. They become eligible for such exalted categories like Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, etc. So that is the Jiva Tattva. Supreme Lord Vishnu is the expansion of the Lord, as we know from the expansions coming from Lord Krishna, and then Balaram, and then quadruple expansion, Aniruddha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, and Pradyumna. And then Lord Narayan, second quadruple expansion, and then from Sankarshan, Purush Avtaras, the three Vishnu forms come. So this is the expansion of the Lord who is the in charge of goodness, and Lord Shiva is Shambhu Tattva. He's in between Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva. So Lord Brahma explains to Narada Muni that it is just for the sake of this cosmic manifestation creation that Krishna is assuming these guna avtaras, his expansions who are in charges of the three modes of material nature. But he himself, as Lord Krishna, he is never affected by these gunas or the three modes. So just to clarify slightly bit more for Lord Vishnu is definitely beyond these three modes, although he's in charge of mode of goodness. But Lord Vishnu is, you can understand Krishna's expansion within this material creation is Lord Vishnu. So that is his basically the seva of this particular expansion. Whenever the universes are coming out, they are coming out of the body of Lord Mahavishnu. So, and that is a constant process. It is a unhindered process. Constantly, unlimited universes are coming out from his pores of his body. Unlimited universes are entering his body. Similarly, in each of these universe, Lord is entering as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and then in each of the living entity or atom, Lord is entering as Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So all these services of these expansions of the Lord in the form of three Vishnu forms or Purush Avtaras, they are constantly taking place in the material world. So that means Lord Vishnu is Supreme Lord in this material world, always residing in the material world, all these three forms of Lord Vishnu. Anyone has any confusion or any question in this regard? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
No
Prabhu. Prabhu,
Yes.
one point for class. Prabhu, in sometimes we read two different thoughts, no, Prabhu. From the skin pores, universes are created. In sometimes, from his nostril, the universes are emanated like that. It's
I think you're confusing. So, are you referring to the like living entities being created from Lord Brahma's nostril, or
not nostril. From Karnataka Shai Vishnu, we usually see the diagram as from his skin pores many bubbles are coming, that each represents a Garbhodaka, means a universe.
universe?
Within that
Correct.
Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu. Sometimes we tell that like from his nostril through his breath, and during his breath everything is created, during his exhalation. So inhalation everything is created, during exhalation everything is destroyed, like that we read no
Annihilated.
problem.
Yeah. So by exhaling and inhaling, it doesn't mean that the universes are coming from his nostril. It means that the lifespan of the universe is till the time the Mahavishnu takes, the time that he takes for breathing one breath. So that is the time. With his exhalation, the universes are emanating. From his inhalation, universes are entering his body from the pores. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are coming from the nostril. It is mentioned they are coming from the pores of his body.
Okay, Prabhu. Prabhu,
Okay.
again,
The
one
yeah.
more thing. Sorry to ask all this, Prabhu.
No,
Sorry.
no problem. No problem.
Prabhu, during annihilation, everything enters into his abdomen, we'll tell, no, Prabhu.
His body, correct.
Into Avyakta form, it goes inside his abdomen. Now we are telling that through nostril it goes and comes in. It through the lotus stem, it goes inside to the navel, or again through this nostril, Prabhu.
So again, as I just mentioned, there is no reference to the nostril. The reference is to his exhalation and inhalation. The emanation of the universes is specifically mentioned from the pores of his body. Okay, so it is not mentioned from his nostrils.
Okay, okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Okay,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So we'll
Hare
stick to
Krishna,
that.
Prabhu.
Hare-
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Mother.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother.
Just one clarification for me.
Mhm.
When you said Lord Vishnu is the supreme Lord in this material world, whether it is whom you will whom is referred, whether any particular Vishnu, that Karodakshai Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Kshirodakshai, or all three.
All three Purush Avtaras. So these are
Okay, all three
expansions
are
of the,
referred in this
correct.
as
So
the supreme Lord in this material world.
yeah, so these Purush Avtaras, three Vishnu forms, they are the expansions of the Supreme Lord for the creation and running of this cosmic manifestation. They are always engaged in Lord's service in this material world.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So all
Hare
three are
Krishna.
considered as the Vishnu form only.
Purush
For
Avtaras, yes,
when we say Lord Vishnu is the supreme Lord, all three are considered.
correct, Mataji.
Thank
And
you.
within that also, just to clarify, in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the sequence is also mentioned in the third chapter, where the different incarnations of the Lord are mentioned. So it is mentioned that Lord Mahavishnu is the cause of Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Garbhodakshay Vishnu is subsequently the cause of Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So like Kshirodakshay Vishnu is mentioned as the Paramatma of the living entities, Garbhodakshay Vishnu is the Paramatma of one universe, and Mahavishnu or Karanodakshay Vishnu is the Paramatma for the entire cosmic manifestation.
Universe.
So cosmic manifestation, it has many universes.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So can we proceed? Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Any other questions? I just want to be mindful of time. We'll have to go slightly quicker. Text 19. Karya karana kartrutve
कार्यकारणकर्तृत्वे
द्रव्य ज्ञान क्रियाश्रयः
द्रव्यज्ञानक्रियाश्रयः
बध्नन्ति नित्यदा मुक्तम्
बध्नन्ति नित्यदा मुक्तिं
मा इनं
बध्नन्ति नित्यदा
पुनः
मुक्तं
मायिनं
पुरुषं
पुरुषं गुणः
Prabhuji's, Mataji, everybody can sing together so that we don't disturb others. Shubhamai Mataji, Hare Krishna, translation
Hare Krishna,
and
Prabhuji.
highlighted part. Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. These three modes of material nature, being further manifested as matter, knowledge, and activities, put the eternal, transcendental living entity under the conditions of cause and effects and make him responsible for such activities. This external energy of the Lord covers up the pure knowledge of the living entities eternally, existing with him. But the covering is so constant that it appears that the conditioned soul is eternally ignorant. Such is the wonderful action of Maya, or external energy manifested as if materially produced. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So these three modes of material nature being further manifested as matter, knowledge, and activities put the eternally transcendental living entity under conditions of cause and effect and make him responsible for such activities. So this process of creation is further explained by Lord Brahma. How does the Lord create? That from Lord come the three modes of material nature, and although Lord is beyond those three modes, he is actually accepting the expansions as guna avtaras, as Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva in charges of the three modes. And from these three modes are further coming whatever are the ingredients for the cosmic manifestation creation, namely matter, the knowledge, and the activities. So matter are, as we, one second, let me see if I have it. Yeah. So this particular diagram we had studied as part of a detailed Bhakti Vaibhav session. So there are various ingredients for the creation, including earth, water, fire, air, ether, which are the material elements that are required. Similarly, there are also the sense objects, there are knowledge acquiring senses, there are working senses. So all these are coming from Lord Krishna. So whatever are the raw ingredients for the creation, they are coming from the Lord, plus the knowledge for Lord Brahma, how to create this universe in terms of how he should proceed with his service, that is also coming from the Supreme Lord. And the activities of this cosmic manifestation, they are also being manifested coming from the Supreme Lord.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I
Hare
have
Krishna.
a small doubt, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
So the raw ingredients are coming from the Karanodakashai Vishnu, or how is it, Prabhu?
The universes are coming from the Karanodakshaya Vishnu, and within universe, Krishna has also provided all these raw ingredients in terms of earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the sense objects and the senses coming out of it. So all these ingredients are provided, to answer your question, from Karanodakshaya Vishnu or Mahavishnu as part of the universes. Hare Krishna.
Okay, and what is Pradhana?
Good question. This was also asked in our Bhakti Vaibhav detail. So Pradhana is nothing but a dormant form of all the living entities where the modes are still inactive, where the modes of material nature are still inactive. From this Pradhana comes the Mahat Tattva, where the modes are activated, the three modes of material nature, Sattva, Rajas, Tama. And from those three modes, the subtle form of living entity's existence, the Ahankar, is created, false ego, and from him, the 5 different ingredients and the subtle two other subtle ingredients, intelligence and ego, and the sense objects and the gross material elements, they are created. So that is the sequence. So to answer your question, they are all the material ingredients plus the living entities in the dormant form, where the three modes of material nature are not yet activated. That is pradhan. And when the three modes are activated, that is mahatattva.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Before we proceed, we would also share this slide with all of you, which has the sequence of entire creation put in the schematic form in one slide format. So all of you can go through. We can, if I get an opportunity, we can have a follow-up discussion as well.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Sorry, Prabhuji, I have one query on this only, follow-up question on this. So, Prabhuji, when we are saying we have two things, one is pradhana, which is actually the inactivated form of all the material elements, or
Plus the living entities.
plus the living entities, and mahatattva is the one that gets activated with the help of Kali Shakti. Is it?
Okay.
Am I right, Prabhuji?
Correct. Which gets activated by the action of Kala, karma, and it is also mentioned in Bhagavatam that by the glance of the Lord, it gets activated. And even Bhagavad Gita mentions that.
Yes, Prabhuji, sure. And plus, Prabhuji, when we talk about, there are two activities so which are happening. One is the creation of the entire Mahatattva. I mean, this is happening wherein the Pradhana is getting converted. And the other one is the impregnation of the living entities. So, Prabhuji, can we say that both the things are not in any sequential order, but it is happening in parallel? I mean, it could happen at any point in time whenever the Lord desires. There is no sequence to it, isn't it, Prabhuji?
Correct. So basically, the living entities, they are already present in this pradhan as well as mahatattva in the dormant form. So first, whatever is material requirement for the creation, they are activated, and then it is Lord Brahma's arrangement that he creates the body for each living entity, puts the soul there. So say, for example, he creates the body of a human being, he creates the body of different human beings. How many? 400,000 plus species of human forms of life. So after those species are created, then based on the qualification, he would put one soul in each species like that. And within a species, there are many other living entities. So first is the cosmic manifestation creation in terms of material elements, and souls are continuously existing in their dormant form. Subsequently, once Brahma creates the body, Lord arranges for the living entity to be present in each of those bodies.
Okay, sure, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. One last question. I'm so sorry.
No.
So, when Brahma creates the body, that's when the living entities come into Mahatattva, or
living entities are always present in their dormant form. Dormant means in the form of a deep sleep. In the dormant form, they are always present in Mahatattva. Just that once their bodies are created, then they subsequently start getting manifested. And even just one point I want to clarify, that not all living entities are created through the medium of father and mother giving birth to a child. Say, for example, the first living entities who were created from Lord Brahma, initial ones, they were like Manasa Putras. They were created from the body of Brahma without any external help of female potency. So once the bodies are created, then through Lord's arrangement, the individual Jiva soul is granted for each of those bodies. Is that all right, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji,
Krishna.
then Pradhana is known after once the Lord glance or karma or kala activates, then the Pradhana becomes Prakriti.
I don't want to speculate too much. Already this is quite technical, and we don't want to make it more difficult for devotees to understand. So what is your question? Come again.
Like the Pradhana becomes Prakriti once kala, karma, or the Lord's glance over it.
Did you read it somewhere?
No, Prabhuji, because
okay, then let's stick to this only, Mataji, because to be honest, this schematic is also based on the series of verses, and I myself admit that based on limited understanding, this has been drafted. Brahma himself says in the later part of Bhagavatam, 6th chapter that he knows Krishna only in a limited way and format. So I don't want to speculate something that is not stated here, Mataji. Is that all right?
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Can
Krishna,
we
Prabhuji.
proceed? Mataji's
May I
Prabhuji,
ask
let's
a small
proceed.
question? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Can we take it in the end, Mataji, just to
Yes,
make sure?
Prabhuji, yes,
Huh?
sure.
Otherwise, last time the session went almost till 9:45, 50. Then it is very difficult to cover the verses. Hare Krishna. So keep
Hare
your question jotted down. We'll take it in the end. Text 20. Sa esha bhagavan lingais
Esha
Bhagavan Linge
tribhir etair adhokshajah
Tribir Ete Adokshah
svalakshita gatir brahman
Brahman
sarvesham mama cheshwarah.
Sarvesham
Hare Krishna, Gayatri Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Should
Yes.
I read translation, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ho Brahmana Narada, the supersede, the transcendent Lord, is beyond the perception of the material senses of the living entities because of the above mentioned three modes of nature. But he is the controller of everyone, including me. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.24 to 25, the Lord has declared very clearly that the impersonalist who gives more importance to the transcendental rays of the Lord as Brahmajyoti and who concludes that the absolute truth is ultimately impersonal and only manifests a form at a time of necessity is less intelligent than the personalist. However much the impersonalist may be engaged in studying the Vedanta. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So, O Brahmana Narada, the superseer, the transcendent Lord, is beyond the perception of the material senses of living entities because of the above mentioned three modes of material nature. But he is the controller of everyone, including me. So, Lord Brahma is admitting here that although Lord Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So can few devotees volunteer to be co-host, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Shri Haripriya Mataji, I am making you co-host. If there is any background, please help mute. And Hare Krishna. These topics are already quite technical, okay? So we really need as much focus as we can to understand to the best of our ability. So Brahmaji is explaining to Narada Muni that the living, while the three modes of material nature, they are coming from the Lord, and Lord takes the different guna avtaras to be in charge of these three modes of material nature. The living entities being covered by them can have a very limited understanding, including Lord Brahma himself. So there are specific set of verses in chapter 6, next chapter, where Lord Brahma concludes answer to the 6 questions, where Brahmaji mentions his own ability or limited understanding of the Supreme Lord. So, but he concludes by saying that while he understands Krishna to a limited degree, what is more important is to be glorifying the Supreme Lord based on that understanding. So no one can say, if Brahmaji himself is admitting that he doesn't know Krishna 100%, definitely no one other than Brahma can know Krishna more than that. But what is greatness is, even if we know Krishna 1% or 0.001%, how are we utilizing that understanding to glorify him? So here it is mentioned that he is always beyond the scope of understanding of the living entity, beyond the perception of the material senses of the living entities. So we proceed. Hare Krishna, Mataji, please read the highlighted part the devotee was reading earlier.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. The devotees
who are transcendental to the above mentioned three modes of material nature can see all blissful transcendental form of Lord with their vision of love in attitude of pure devotional service. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Text 21. Kalam karma swabhavam cha
Kalam karma swabhavam cha
ma esho mayaya swaya
Yesho Maya Swaya
atman yadruchaya praptam
Atmanyadruchaya
vibhu bhushur upadade. Hare Krishna. Sanvika Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Koti Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord who is the controller. There's an echo, no Prabhu?
We can hear you, Mataji. You're on mute, Sanvika Mataji. Sanvika Mataji, you're on mute.
Okay, Prabhuji, sorry. The Lord who is the controller of all energies, thus creates by his own potency, eternal time, the fate of all living entities and their particular nature for which they were created, and he again merges them independently.
Thank you. 1 second.
Prabhuji, I'll read the purport also.
Purport is very huge, so we would probably, you can directly read the translation of the next verse after the incarnation.
Okay. After the incarnation of the first Purusha, Karna Vasyai Vishnu, the Mahatattva or the principles of material creation take place, and then time is manifested, and in course of time, the three qualities appear. Nature means the three qualitative appearance. They transform into activities.
Thank you. So again, referring to this particular chart in terms of sequence, from Karanadokshaya Vishnu, these three elements, Kala, Karma and Swabhava are created, and they in turn act on Pradhana, which is an unmanifested form of all the material elements, plus the living entities, and with the influence of the Kala or the time energy of the Lord, the three modes of material nature are born, and from the three modes of material nature, the first of the three subtle bodily elements, Ahankar, is born, and from Ahankar, all these Sattvic Ahankar, Rajasa Ahankar and Tamasa Ahankar. That means interaction of the three modes of material nature with the false ego, they in turn create other subtle elements, namely mind, false ego, and the knowledge acquiring and the working senses, plus all the elements. So as such, this chart covers the description or the flow of the process of creation from text 21 until 42. Hare Krishna. We can proceed. Let me see. The Vedanta Sutras and the Bhagavatam thus begin with the absolute truth as the beginning of all creations. Janmadi asya yataha. We will recite the next verse. So next verse is Prabhuji's, Mataji's, and in terms of purport, all of you can go through at your leisure, but from the explanation point of view, we would just stick to this schematic only. Hare Krishna. Mahatastu vikurvanat Raja Sattvopa Brahmitat Tama Pradhanastva Abhavat Dravya Jnana Kriyatmakaha. Hare Krishna. Radha Vallabhi Mataji.
Hare
Translation.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Material activities are caused by the Mahat Tattvas being agitated. At first, there is transformation of the modes of goodness and passion, and later, due to the mode of ignorance, matter, its knowledge, and different activities of material knowledge come into play.
Thank you. Thank you. So when this Mahat Tattva is agitated by the three modes of material nature, all the effects of the three modes in conjunction with false ego, they are manifested in the form of creation of subtle body plus the senses, knowledge acquiring, and the karmendriyas, the knowledge acquiring senses and the working senses, and the 5 different elements and the sense objects. Radha Vallabhi Mataji, continue with the translation.
Yeah. The self-centered materialistic ego, thus being transformed into 3 features, becomes known as the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance in the 3 divisions, namely the powers that evolve matter, knowledge of material creations, and the intelligence that guides such materialistic activities. Narada, you are quite competent to understand this. Hare Krishna.
So we lost you, Mataji, in the end. Narada, you are
quite competent to understand this.
Thank you. 1 second.
This
This
obstinacy is due to the action of Yogamaya, a personal energy of the Lord, that acts like an AD camp by covering the vision of the obstinate impersonalist.
Thank you, Mataji. So just to understand this particular point, we would slightly go before this. 1 second. You can start from the beginning just for this point.
Materialistic ego, or the sense of identification with matter, is grossly self-centered, devoid of clear knowledge of the existence of God. And this self-centered egoism of the materialistic living entities is the cause of their being conditioned by the other paraphernalia and continuing their bondage of material existence. In the Bhagavad Gita itself, this self-centered egoism is very nicely explained in the 7th chapter, verse 24 through 27. The self-centered impersonalist, without a clear conception of the personality of Godhead, concludes in his own way that the personality of Godhead takes a material shape from his original impersonal spiritual existence for a particular mission. And this misleading conception of the Supreme Lord of the self-centered impersonalist continues, even though he is seen to be very interested in the Vedic literatures, such as the Brahma Sutra and other highly intellectual sources of knowledge. This ignorance of the personal feature of the Lord is due simply to ignorance of the mixture of different modes. The impersonalist thus cannot conceive of the Lord's eternal spiritual form of eternal knowledge, bliss, and existence. The reason is that the Lord reserves the right of not exposing himself to the non-devotees who, even after the thorough study of literature like Bhagavad Gita, remains an impersonalist simply by obstinacy. This obstinacy is due to the action of Yogamaya, a personal energy of the Lord that acts like an AD camp by covering the vision of the obstinate impersonalist.
Thank you, Mataji. We'll take a pause here.
Yes.
So here it is mentioned that one cannot understand Krishna by force, by mechanical means like studying a specific Vedic literature. We can only try to put our endeavor. Ultimately, it depends on the Supreme Lord, who, being pleased with the devotional attitude of a devotee or a performer of those austerities, to reveal himself to the degree that he wants to reveal. Like one time, one specific university scholar came to meet Srila Prabhupada, and apparently he had done PhD on the writings of the Goswamis, a Westerner. He had done his PhD or thesis on the writings of the Goswami, but this person was smoking cigarette, as part of his addiction in his life. So Srila Prabhupada later on pointed to the devotees that this person might claim himself to be a scholar on the writings of the Goswamis, but actually have that knowledge entered his heart, manifesting in the form of his actions? So the answer is no. So point is, just by putting endeavor mechanically without really imbibing the mood or the process of surrender to understand that knowledge, it won't take us very further more than this particular university scholar. Although apparently knowing the writings of the Goswamis, he had not imbibed it in his personal practice. So there is verse in Bhagavad Gita, if I'm not wrong, 1855, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yash chasmi tattvataha. That if we want to understand Krishna, it is not through any mechanical arrangement or through scholarship of the scriptures or through any mechanical means, but only through sincere surrender. Of course, we should put our level best to understand whatever the process of creation or whatever the knowledge is given in Bhagavad Gita. But this knowledge itself is not going to make us understand Krishna. It is Krishna's own revelation to the degree that we are surrendered in devotional mood, that he would reveal himself to us. So especially for such impersonalist, Srila Prabhupada mentions that this obstinacy of the impersonalist is also an effect of the Maya Shakti, of the personal energy of the Lord. Yes, Mataji. The pink one, the cause of such
gross ignorance is constant engagement by the materialistic man in the matter of artificially increasing material demands to realize the supreme personality of Godhead. One has to purify the materialistic senses by devotional service. The mode of goodness or the Brahminical culture recommended in the Vedic literature is helpful to such spiritual realization, and thus the Jnana Shakti stage of the conditioned soul is comparatively better than the other two stages, namely Dravya Shakti and Kriya Shakti. The whole material.
Thank you, Mataji. So there was one specific incident in the life of Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that once the Vice Chancellor of Calcutta University came to visit Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and in a very challenging mood, he asked Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati that I have got some questions for you. And what did Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur say? He first asked that person to help the brahmachari devotee who was washing deity's paraphernalia, the pots that are used in deity worship, in the deity kitchen. And after about performing that service for 45 minutes to 1 hour, when that person came out, then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur asked, what are your questions? Now you can put forth. So point is, unless and until we engage our senses in devotional service, it is very, very difficult to understand Krishna. What is that specific verse, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, which confirms this understanding?
Tadvidhi Prabhuji, Tadvidhi.
Ata Shri Krishna
Shri Krishna
Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavet
Grahimendriye
Grahimendriye Sevonmukhe Chitvaru Swayameva Spurati Adaha.
Thank you, Mataji. So only when we engage our senses in Sevon Mukhehi, in rendering service to Lord Krishna, Swayam Eva Spurati Adaha, that Krishna will reveal himself. Otherwise, all this knowledge, definitely we would read it for our purification. And later on, when Brahmaji concludes this particular explanation, he mentions that the activities of Purush avatars in terms of cosmic manifestation, creation, they are to be understood. And activities of Leela avatars, that means the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, they are to be relished. That is the difference between the two. So this is also devotional service, provided we try to understand it in the mood to understand Lord Krishna, not in a challenging mood that if I know this, if I know this chart, then do I know Krishna in and out? The answer is no. This is our small, minute, tiny endeavor to understand Krishna based on what Bhagavatam is saying. Hare Krishna. Radha Vallabi
Yeah.
Mataji, please
Yes,
proceed.
Prabhuji. In order to rectify this great anomaly of materialistic civilization based on the principles of Dravi Shakti and Kriya Shakti, one has to adopt the process of devotional service of the Lord by adoption of the principles of Karma Yoga mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita 9.27 as follow. Yat karoshi yad asnasi yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasya kaunteya tat kurusva mad arpanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here again mentioned that when we engage in devotional service, by actively engaging our senses, everything that we do, we sacrifice, we offer or give away, everything should be performed for the pleasure of the Lord. Then we have some chance of understanding Krishna. Like in the Bhakti Vaibhav session, detail 1, we had discussed the story of a milk-taking brahmachari who was very austere, and he used to sustain his daily quota of food that he used to consume was simply little ounces of milk and not solid food grains. And this particular brahmachari, wanting to visit and witness the beautiful chanting and dancing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associate, Srivas Thakur, to be allowed inside the house. And Srivas Thakur, knowing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very particular about only attending, only allowing inner core of his devotees inside that house, he was bit anxious whether he should allow. But then he thought that this brahmachari is very austere and very anxious to see Mahaprabhu's dancing. So he put him in a hidden spot where Mahaprabhu apparently won't see, but this brahmachari would be able to witness. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than the Supreme Lord himself. So he did, after a while, feel and understood that there is somebody who is not supposed to be here. And he asked devotees, is there someone who is not supposed to be here? And Srivas Thakur gave an indirect answer. He said, my dear Lord, no one is here who is not qualified or who is not austere in his or her habits and lifestyle. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again asked the same question. Is there anyone who is not supposed to be here? And then the brahmachari, he felt very, milk-taking brahmachari, he felt very ashamed, and he, with his head hung down, he begged forgiveness for intruding that specific place. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked that brahmachari that, do you feel that because of your austerities, you would be able to claim your spot in this place to witness my chanting and dancing? And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally saw that this devotee had become completely humble, and he admitted that I was under the false understanding that because I am austere, I am qualified to witness the chanting and dancing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he expressed his gratitude to the Supreme Lord and to Srivas Thakur that whatever little bit amount of time he could witness Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's chanting and dancing. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the grateful heart of this devotee, subsequently he was granted entrance. So point is, if such an austere person who is performing such austerities we can't even think of, even on a normal fasting day, it is not that easy to survive without solid food grains. This devotee was doing it day and night, every day. But it was his heart's genuine humility which finally granted him Lord's mercy and audience. So here it is mentioned, unless we perform all our activities in such devotional mood, it is very difficult to understand Krishna. So in the interest of time, we will just continue with the translation. Sarita Mataji, Hare Krishna, text 25.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sadhana.
Dhanyavad.
From the darkness of false ego, the first of the five elements, namely the sky, is generated. Its subtle form is the quality of sound, exactly as the seer is in relationship with the seen.
Thank you. Please continue. 1 second. Hang on 1 second. Continue with the translation.
Because the sky is transformed, the air is generated with the quality of touch, and by previous succession, the air is also full of sound and the basic principles of duration of life, sense perception, mental power, and bodily strength. When the air is transformed in course of time and nature's course, fire is generated, taking shape with a sense of touch and sound. Since fire is also transformed, there is a manifestation of water full of juice and taste. As previously, it also has form and touch and is also full of sound. And water, being transformed from all variegatedness on earth, appears odorous and, as previously, becomes qualitatively full of juice, touch, sound, and form respectively.
Thank you much. So
Hare Krishna.
in this
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. In this particular chart, let me make it bigger. Hare Krishna. So this particular section under mode of ignorance, Dravya Shakti Adibhuta is where mentioned. So when the mode of ignorance, it interacts with the false ego, all the different material elements and their sense objects, they are created from more subtler to the gross form. So say for example, the most subtle of the five material elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. The most subtle is ether. So that gets created first, and before ether, the corresponding sense object for the ether, which is sound, is created. From sound, ether comes. From ether, then next sense object for the subtle material element, which is air, is created. So touch is created. From touch, air is created. Now this particular translation is saying, let me juggle. So whichever element, whichever material element is created, it has the qualities of the earlier element. For example, 1 second. For example, air has the quality of touch as well as the quality of sound. Similarly, earth has the quality of smell, it has the quality of taste, it has the form, it has the quality of touch, and it also has the quality of sound. So from subtle to gross, this is one flow to understand. Second one, the subsequent material element that is getting created, it has the qualities of the sense objects of the earlier elements. These two are to be understood. Is it too technical, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Anyone?
Yes, Prabhuji. Technical, Prabhuji.
Technical? Okay, you try your level best, but let me know in case anyone wants me to repeat, or if it is too technical, then leave it. Take it for our purification.
Prabhuji, please repeat. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Okay. Fine, fine.
Krishna
So,
Prabhuji, does it mean that tanmatras create the gross element?
the tanmatras, they create the material elements from subtle to gross. So ether is the most subtle of the five elements. And then subsequent is air, which is less subtle from ether. Is that all right, Sri Hari Priya Mataji?
Difference
Yes,
between
when we say gross elements, we always say earth, water, air,
Correct.
fire, and
So the sequence is from sound ether, from top to bottom. So subtler is coming first. Subtle element is coming first, followed by less subtle, and then gross. Is that all right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
One by
Sorry.
one. Yes, Mataji.
So, Prabhuji, we are saying from the subtle object, for that particular object, sense object and matra, relevant or the associated material element is generated.
Created. Correct.
And
Mataji.
after that, for example, as it is mentioned, from the sound is the sense object for ether. It represents sky.
Correct.
So from the sky again, now when the sky is generated, from the sky we will go to the next sense object.
Correct.
Or is it from the
From
from the Tanmatra itself, the next Tanmatra will be created?
From the sky, the sense object of the next subtle material element will be created first. So the sense object, next subtle element is air, corresponding sense object or tanmatra is touch. Is it all right? Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhuji, difference between ether and air?
Ether is nothing but sky, Mataji. Ether means space. And air means what fills the space, the air. Okay, so air can be perceived through touch, but ether can't be perceived. Basically, ether is the via medium of the sound. So all the radio waves, all the sound waves, basically they need via medium as ether. So it is the sky or the space is the equivalent word, Mataji. Is that all right, Prema Priya Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
It's a little technical, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so that's what. Try our level best for our purification. Hare Krishna. I'll just give you one specific episode to relate. Many of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they came from Western body background. And for some of these disciples, like when Srila Prabhupada used to give them initiation, of course, first initiation is very easy, just the chanting of Harinam, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So not much technical in that. But second initiation involves giving 7 different Gayatri mantras, the Brahman initiation. So some of these Western body devotees, they use one specific devotee when he was receiving the second initiation from Prabhupada. Prabhupada told him one time the Gayatri mantras, and he had difficulty in grasping, even after noting down in repeating or chanting. Srila Prabhupada tried to explain second time the 7 Gayatris, and the devotee still struggled to pronounce properly. And what was Srila Prabhupada's conclusion? Finally, Srila Prabhupada said, you just chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and that is sufficient. So point is not that that is a disqualification for a devotee to go back home, back to Godhead, but at least he put his effort to endeavor to understand what his spiritual master was giving in the form of Brahman initiation and the Brahman initiation mantras, right? So don't get disheartened or discouraged if we can't grasp everything at once. What to speak of us? Brahmaji himself, our predecessor Acharya, is confirming his inability to understand Krishna fully, though he is much, much more intelligent than us. So try our level best using intelligence Krishna has given and be happy with the endeavor.
Does it mean, excuse me, Prabhuji, does it mean that we lack intelligence?
Can't say. Whatever Krishna has given us ability, each one of us has a different ability. So we don't want to judge or either be depressed whatever Krishna has granted. We want to use it to the best of our ability to try to understand Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So let's proceed.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I got the reference. Yes, I read somewhere. It was in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2610, where Kapila Muni, he says that in the translation, it's given the condition of the 3 modes of material nature, which is 1, unmanifested, 2, eternal combination of the 3 modes is cause of the manifest state, and it's called pradhana. It is called prakriti when the manifested states of existence.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare.
So coming back to Bhagavatam, we will go with the last verse. Then maybe we'll have a minute or two of discussion for any outstanding questions. Audarya Gauranga Prabhu, Hare Krishna, translation.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Translated by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. From the mode of goodness, the mind is generated and becomes manifest, as also the 10 demigods controlling the bodily movements. Such demigods are known as the controller of directions, the controller of air, the sun god, the father of Daksha Prajapati, the Aswini Kumaras, the fire god, the king of heaven, the worshipable deity in heaven, the chief of Adityas and Brahmaji, the Prajapati, all come into existence.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So again, going back to the chart, from the interaction of the Sattva Guna or the mode of goodness with false ego, it creates various devatas who are responsible for various knowledge acquiring senses, working senses. For example, I think only knowledge acquiring senses, different devatas. For example, as the sun god is in charge or responsible for the eyesight. So many a times you would find that Vedic Karma Kanda procedures, they have various steps to worship these specific devatas if one has got challenge with that particular sense. But for a practicing devotee in Krishna consciousness, we really don't need to approach the specific devatas for any purpose. Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna clearly mentions that whatever the requirements may be, whatever the needs may be, it is always safer and better to approach Lord Krishna. But this specific set of devatas who are in charges of various knowledge acquiring and the working senses, yeah, it's 10 mentioned. So all these corresponding devatas are created through the interaction of false ego with mode of goodness. Hare Krishna. And then in the subsequent verses, it is also mentioned how interaction of mode of passion with false ego results in creation of intelligence, prana, and the 10 senses, working senses and the knowledge acquiring senses. So that will be covered in the subsequent part of this chapter. So maybe if we have any outstanding questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, anyone? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I have a doubt because when we say that the Brahma Jyoti is the spiritual sky, and in Brahma Jyoti there is a cloud of Mahatattva, right?
Yes.
And then Karnodak Shahi Vishnu is inside that Mahatattva in the Karan Sagar.
Mahavishnu.
Yeah,
Mahavishnu. Yes.
Karnodakshayi Vishnu in the Karan Sagar. So Karan Sagar itself is in Mahatattva and Mahavishnu is lying there only. Then the entire creation happens through Garbhodakshayi and Shirodakshayi. Then since it is a part of that particular spiritual world, I would say, then why is it considered as a material world? Ultimately, it is lying that Mahatattva and Karnodakshayi Vishnu, and entire thing is happening within the sphere of Brahma Jyoti. Then why is it considered as material and the spiritual is separate?
Good question. So basically in the next chapter, 6th chapter of this particular canto, Brahmaji, after he concludes the Lord being the material and the Nimitta Karan and Upadana Karan, the material and the efficient cause for this cosmic manifestation, he mentions to Narada Muni that this particular cosmic manifestation is just Ekapada Vibhuti and spiritual world is Tripada Vibhuti. What means is, in essence, this cosmic manifestation is created by the Lord within the spiritual sky, but there are several layers above this, upon this material cosmic manifestation, layers of all the 5 elements, and which are also mentioned in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And beyond these elements or the layers is the spiritual world. So say, for example, if in the spiritual sky there is a ball with multiple layers that is kept, so is the ball different from the sky or is it within the sky? So the answer is both, right? So as such, original creation by the Lord is only spiritual world, but within that material world is created which has got multiple layers upon it. So it is not wrong or incorrect to say that ultimately it is also resting within the spiritual sky, but there are coverings over the material world which differentiate it from the spiritual world. Is that all right, Sri Hari?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
You are
Thank you
able
so
to
much.
imagine the analogy that I gave of a ball with multiple
Yes,
coverings?
within and yes, it is a part of it also and it is separate also.
Separate by the coverings. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, that is the only reason why, because it is in Brahma Jyoti. So people who do Brahman realization, there is the probability of them falling down, because Mahatat itself is a cloudy part of Brahman. And
Yes.
once you clear that Brahman realization and reach to the ultimate super Bhagwan realization, the probability of falling down goes away.
Yes, Mataji. And one more aspect to understand is that Bhagavad Gita mentions that Brahma Jyoti as the source of energy and light that sun god imitates, that moon god imitate. That means that is only possible when this cosmic manifestation is also in the Brahma Jyoti to access that effulgence, Brahman effulgence.
Okay.
Hare
It
Krishna.
is not the halo of the Lord, Hiranmaya Patren. Brahma Jyoti is not the Hiranmaya Patren which covers the effulgence of the Lord.
So Hiranmaya Patrena, that particular shloka in Ishopnishad, it means the covering that is in front of us of the Maya potency. It doesn't mean the physical covering. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, that is a prayer by the devotee to the Supreme Lord to remove that covering so that he can see it. But that removal of the covering is not in terms of the material elements, that is in terms of Maya Shakti, so that a devotee is able to perceive the Lord as he is.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It just in
Hare Krishna.
continuation, sorry for this question, but in continuation with what you have explained, but if we look into the Goloka chart, it shows Karnodakshay Vishnu. Of course, it is shown on the Mahatattva, but that is part of the material world, not the spiritual world,
Yeah,
right?
so as I mentioned, don't get confused between material world and spiritual world. So Mataji's question was, is material world actually in the spiritual sky? So the answer is yes, but it has got multiple coverings over it.
Okay.
Okay.
And those covering can be considered as part of what we see as part of the coverings of the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu? That
Hang on.
those is that?
Let me open that schematic 1 second.
I think Mataji, are you referring to those 7 layers maybe, not the Garbhodakshaya one, Prabhuji?
Sorry, I
Prabhuji,
didn't
can you please make it clear from the Goloka chart? Still getting little confused.
Yeah, so I think this request came from you here only, Mataji, or some other session for walkthrough on the Goloka chart. But
No,
let
no.
me get my
No,
hands.
Prabhu, not from me.
Not
but
from
I'm-
our, no,
Okay.
not from our.
Okay, but I think it is
It's
Krishna's.
because when you explained
Prabhu,
this, I was just thinking of the Goloka chart because the way I had understood was slightly different.
different.
Radha
what we-
Vallavi Mataji or any other devotees, if you could share the Goloka chart
I
in
can
the
share that.
email.
Yeah,
Share,
Prabhu.
and
I
I will
can.
come ready, prepared, and we can maybe devote some time,
Sure.
Mataji.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, maybe we'll take one
Can I
more question. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. One question. we'll
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, one was the follow-up. Oh, okay. I'll just tell you about the things, but so one was basically with respect to Sri Haripriya Mataji's follow-up. This is a follow-up one that we understand that the Brahma Jyoti is the spiritual effulgence of the Lord because it is emanating from the Lord's body. And I've also read in Srimad Bhagavatam that when we go towards since we have a sun, so it's very dark down below in the Patal, the
lower
different.
planets.
Yes, Prabhuji. So the darkness is only because of the glowing jewels and that is the only possible reason. So even sun does not reach there. And somewhere recently, Prabhuji, we also read, I might be wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, that I understood till now, I was under the impression that the sun is also getting the light. It's becoming effulgent because of the Brahma Jyoti.
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita mentions that the sun and the moon, they are getting the light only from Brahma Jyoti. Bhagavad Gita clearly confirms that.
Yes. Okay. So I'm okay. So my understanding is right that even though it's in the spiritual planet, but we are getting it. It's getting reflected from there only because of the Lord.
Correct.
Okay. So Prabhuji, the first main question was when we talk about Dravya Shakti, Karya Shakti. So basically, what is the meaning of these terms like Dravya? Dravya in general, it means liquid. I can't just make out from here, Prabhuji.
I don't push me to speculate, okay?
Sorry. Sare effect. Okay, Prabhuji. No
Sure,
worries.
I'll check and
Sure,
come back.
sure,
Mataji. I don't want to speculate.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Prabhuji, it's just written karya and karta, so it's very
Karta.
difficult. Yeah, the doer is fine, but we have to really, I mean,
Let me try my
understand it.
check and come back, Mataji.
Thank you
And
so
my
much.
sincere apologies to all of you. I know whatever little bit I managed to explain, it is at a very surface level, scrap level. But as I mentioned, we have to admit, Sutta Goswami admits that all of us, we are like the birds of different capacities, who Krishna has given a capacity to understand him. It is like capacity given for a bird to fly. So sparrow can fly few feet above the ground. Pigeon probably can fly slightly higher. A hawk can fly much higher. And a falcon can fly miles up in the air. So we should not be discouraged why I have been given a capacity of a sparrow only. What is important, as we will see Brahmaji's conclusion next chapter, how we utilize that understanding of Krishna. That will decide what is the destination we achieve. There are people who claim to have much deeper understanding, but realization wise, it is zero. So that is not much helpful. So can we conclude with this?
Thank you
Prabhuji's
Hare
Mataji?
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. It
Prabhuji.
was very excellent
Thank you so
class.
much, Prabhuji.
So many
Very wonderful
detailed
Wonderful class,
explanation.
Prabhuji.
Thank
Yeah.
I feel
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
I
Krishna.
feel
Pranam.
embarrassed for a very little attempt made, so I beg forgiveness. Hare
No,
Krishna.
No,
Prabhuji, but
Prabhuji,
one day
this was
just
so
You should
explain,
bless us,
it was
Prabhuji.
very well.
excellent
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It was
explanation. Thank
excellent,
you.
excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent
all
session.
getting
Yeah.
confused.
Hare Krishna. Vamcha kalpa
Thank you so much.
tarubhyascha kripa sindhu evacha
Patita
patitanam
nam pavanebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
namo namo.
Ananta
Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Vaishnav
Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please, please share with me
Hare
that
Krishna,
chart,
Prabhuji.
someone, the
Hare Krishna. What
Goloka chart. Yes.
Golaka chat. Okay,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu, I'll share it.
Yeah,
And
Prabhu.
Prabhu, you're the host, so you have to
Prabhupada, we
enter
need
it.
to have one class on it little to clarify all.
Sure, I will come prepared for that. Hare Krishna. Let
Hare
me.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thanks a
Krishna,
lot.
Prabhuji.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much.
Prabhuji,
for a
for
wonderful
very
session.
much
Hare
for us.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.